Every morning, when I pour the Earl Grey tea for Margaret in the conservatory of our stone cottage here in Bath, I taste in my mouth the bitter flavor of a greatest lie I have ever told, that I invited her to live with me simply to share the expenses of widowhood and chase away the silence of this empty house. She smiles at me, grateful for this friendship she calls sacred, never imagining that every casual touch of her hand on my arm is a refined torture that undoes me from the inside out, making me hate every second of the 40 years I wasted being the perfect wife to a man I never loved. I look at myself in the mirror and see the relentless marks of age, the skin that no longer holds the bloom of youth. And I fall into a paralyzing panic, thinking that if she knew that while she sleeps in the guest room down the hall, I am awake imagining what it would be like to kiss her, she would run from me in disgust and take away the only light I have left. I am trapped in a snare of my own making, condemned to be the loyal confidant of the love of my life, choking back a scream of love and desire that has been stuck in my throat for decades. A scream I feel will kill me with pain if I do not set it free right now. The true drama isn't aging alone. It is having paradise within arm's reach, just across the hallway, and being too much of a coward to stretch out my hand and touch it. Before we dive deeper into Eleanor and Margaret's story, I want to hear from you. Which city or country are you watching from? Have you ever lived through the pain of loving someone in secret? Or do you know someone who found true love later in life? Share your experience in the comments below. If you enjoy emotional and deep psychological stories like this one, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button so you don't miss the next chapters. The rain in Bath is different from rain anywhere else. It doesn't wash things away, it seals them in. It turns the limestone buildings into gray cages and traps the fog in the valley. For 40 years, I blamed the weather for the coldness in my bones. I told myself that the shiver I felt when Richard touched me was just the damp English air. I told myself that the numbness in my chest was just the natural state of a respectable woman of my class. But Richard has been dead for 2 years. The house is warm, the heating is on, and yet I have never been colder because the fire I need is walking around my kitchen in a silk dressing gown, humming a Beatles song, completely unaware that she is burning me alive. Margaret moved in 3 months ago. "It makes sense, Eleanor," she had said at the funeral of her own husband, barely 6 months after mine. "We are both alone. We are both rattling around in houses that are too big for us. Why should we be lonely separately when we could be lonely together?" Lonely together. The phrase sounded like a lifeline then. Now it sounds like a sentence. I watch her now. She is buttering a slice of toast. Her hands are not the smooth, unblemished hands of a girl. They are hands that have gardened, hands that have washed dishes, hands with veins that map out a life lived, and I find them to be the most beautiful, terrifying things I have ever seen. I have an urge, so sudden and violent it makes me dizzy, to grab those hands and press them against my face, to breathe in the scent of her, which is a mixture of expensive face cream and old books. "You're staring, Elle," she says, looking up. Her eyes are blue, crinkled at the corners, kind eyes, eyes that don't see. "I was just thinking," I lie, my voice steady. I've had a lifetime of practice steadying my voice. "We need to call the gardener. The hydrangeas are out of control." "Oh, leave 'em," she laughs. "Let them be wild. You always want to prune everything, Eleanor. You always want to control the growth. Let things breathe." Let things breathe. If I let myself breathe, Margaret, I would shatter this kitchen. I stand up and take my cup to the sink. I need to turn my back to her. I need to wash something to busy my hands because if I don't, I might do something unforgivable. I might stroke her hair. I might tell her that she looks radiant in the morning light. I turn on the tap. The water is hot. I thrust my hands under it, welcoming the scald. It distracts me from the ache in my chest. I spent my life doing what was expected. I married Richard because he was a solicitor, because he was safe, Because my parents approved. I hosted the dinner parties, I ironed the shirts, I raised a son who now lives in Australia and calls me twice a year on Skype with the dutiful tone of someone paying a tax. I performed the role of Eleanor, the good woman, the pillar of the community. I thought I was frigid. That was the word Richard used, once, in a moment of frustration. Frigid. I believed him. I thought my body was a broken machine, incapable of passion. I thought sex was just a chore, like dusting the skirting boards, something you did to keep the household running, but with no joy in the act. Then Margaret came. We had known each other for years, of course. We moved in the same circles, but we were just the wives. We talked about recipes and charity galas. We never really talked. But now we share a bathroom. I see her toothbrush next to mine. I see her wet towel draped over the radiator. I smell her perfume lingering in the hallway, and this proximity is stripping away my defenses layer by layer. I realized with a horror that nearly brought me to my knees that I wasn't broken. I wasn't frigid. I was just asleep. And I was starving. I had been starving my entire life for a touch that didn't feel like a transaction. Last night, we were watching a film, something romantic, old-fashioned, Cary Grant. We were sitting on the sofa, not touching, but close. The heat of her body radiated across the few inches of velvet cushion between us. In the film, the lovers kissed. It was chaste, black and white, but intense. I heard Margaret sigh. "Do you miss it?" she asked softly, not looking at me. My heart hammered against my ribs. "Miss what?" "That," she pointed at the screen, "being looked at like you are the only water in the desert. Richard, he was a good provider, Elle, I know, and my David was a solid man, but I don't think I ever felt like that." She turned to me then. Her face was open, vulnerable. Did you ever feel that passion, Eleanor?" I couldn't look at her. I looked at my hands clasped tightly in my lap. My knuckles were white. "No," I whispered. "Never." "It's sad, isn't it?" she said, and then she did the worst possible thing. She reached out and covered my hands with hers. Her palm was warm. Her thumb stroked the back of my hand, a gentle, rhythmic motion. To get to our age and realize we missed the main event. I froze. Every nerve ending in my hand was screaming. The sensation traveled up my arm, into my chest, and settled low in my stomach. A heavy, throbbing heat that I hadn't felt since... No, I had never felt this. Not like this. I wanted to turn my hand over. I wanted to interlace our fingers. I wanted to lean forward those 6 inches and press my mouth to hers and show her that we hadn't missed the main event. That the main event was right here, sitting on this beige sofa in Bath, waiting to happen. But I didn't. I pulled my hand away. I stood up abruptly, smoothing down my skirt. "I'll make some tea," I said. My voice was sharp, harsh. "It's getting late." I saw the hurt flash in her eyes. She thought I was rejecting her comfort. She thought I was being the stiff, cold Eleanor everyone knows. She didn't know I was running away because I was terrified I was about to devour her. Now, standing at the sink, the memory of her touch burns my skin. "Eleanor?" Margaret is standing behind me. I didn't hear her approach. "Are you all right? You've been washing that same teaspoon for 5 minutes." I drop the spoon. It clatters loudly. "I'm fine. Just a headache, the weather." "You're tense," she says. She moves closer. I can feel her warmth at my back. "Your shoulders are like rocks. Here." Before I can stop her, her hands are on my shoulders. She begins to massage the tension away. Her thumbs dig into the tight muscles of my neck. It feels like heaven. It feels like hell. You carry too much, she murmurs, her voice close to my ear. You always have. You need to let go, Elle. Who are you trying to be strong for? Richard is gone. The boys are gone. It's just us. It's just us. I close my eyes. My knees feel weak. The smell of her lavender and toast and woman is overwhelming. If I lean back just an inch, I will be resting against her chest. Margaret, I say, and my voice is a warning, a plea. Don't. She stops. Her hands freeze on my shoulders. Did I hurt you? She asks, concerned. No, I whisper. No, you didn't hurt me. You are destroying me. I turn around. I am trapped between her and the counter. We are so close. I can see the tiny gold flecks in her blue eyes. I can see the soft wrinkles around her mouth. I look at her lips. I can't help it. My gaze drops to her mouth. For a second, just a fraction of a second, I think I see her breath hitch. I think I see her eyes darken. But then the moment breaks. The clock in the hallway chimes the half hour. The spell shatters. I'm going to the market, I say, pushing past her. I need air. I need cold, wet, miserable English air to cool this fever. I grab my coat from the hook by the door. I don't look back. I step out into the rain, gasping for breath as if I have just surfaced from deep water. I walk down the cobblestone path, my heart racing. I am 64 years old. I am a grandmother. I am a widow. And I am walking through the streets of Bath crying because I am in love with my best friend and I am absolutely certain that this love will be the death of me. Because how do you undo a lifetime of repression? How do you say, I want, when you have never even said, I want for yourself? I reach the market, but I don't buy apples. I stand under the awning of a bakery watching the rain fall, and I realize something terrifying. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep living in this house, sharing her meals, feeling her touch, and pretending it's just friendship. The dam is cracking. The water is seeping through, and I don't know if I'm going to drown or if I'm finally going to learn how to swim. The truce lasted for 3 days. 3 days of polite conversation about the weather. 3 days of passing each other in the hallway like ships navigating a dense fog, carefully sounding our horns to avoid collision. I retreated into my books. Margaret retreated into her painting. The house was quiet, but it was a heavy silence, the kind that precedes a thunderstorm. I thought I had regained control. I had convinced myself that the moment in the kitchen, the almost touch, the heat, was a momentary lapse of sanity, a symptom of grief or menopause or simple boredom. I told myself I was Eleanor Vance, a woman of dignity, not a lovesick schoolgirl. Then came the invitation. It was a Tuesday. The rain had finally stopped, leaving Bath glistening and pale under a weak sun. I was in the sitting room arranging lilies in a vase. Richard always hated lilies, said they smelled of funerals, which is precisely why I buy them now. When Margaret walked in, she was holding a cream-colored envelope. "Look at this, Elle," she said. Her voice had a lilt to it, a vibration of excitement I hadn't heard in months. The Historical Society is hosting their annual autumn gala at the Assembly Rooms next Saturday. I snipped a stem with a little more force than necessary. And we stopped going to those years ago. It's just a room full of dusty people talking about Roman bricks. "Well, I want to go," she said, leaning against the door frame, "and I don't want to go alone. Besides," she paused and I looked up. There was a flush on her cheeks that wasn't from the cold. I met someone at the library yesterday. A man. He's on the committee. He insisted I come." The shears slipped in my hand, nicking my thumb. A tiny bead of bright red blood welled up. I stared at it, fascinated and horrified. "A man," I repeated. The word tasted like ash. "His name is Jeffrey. He's a retired architect. Very charming. He knew about David. Apparently they played golf once or twice." She looked at me, her eyes pleading. "Please, Eleanor, I don't want to walk in there by myself like a lost sheep. Come with me. Be my wingman, or whatever the young people say." I put the shears down. I wrapped a tissue around my thumb. "I have nothing to wear," I said. It was the standard defense of women like me. "Nonsense. You have that navy silk. You look regal in it. Please, for me?" For me. She knew those two words were the key to every lock I owned. "Fine," I said, turning back to the lilies. "I have nothing to wear." Saturday arrived with a vengeance. The preparation was a ritual of torture. In the old days, getting ready for a golem meant staying in separate rooms, emerging only when fully armored in foundation and pearls. But Margaret changed the rules. "Elle, can you come here?" she called from her bedroom. I walked down the hall. My heart was already beating a frantic rhythm against my ribs. The door was ajar. She was standing in front of the full-length mirror. She was wearing a dress I had never seen before. It was black velvet, long-sleeved but with a neckline that plunged just enough to be daring without being scandalous. It hugged her body in a way that my mouth went dry. "The zipper," she said, turning her back to me. "It's stuck at the waist." I stepped into the room. It smelled of her, rose water and that expensive powder she uses. "Hold still," I murmured. My hands were trembling. I prayed she wouldn't notice. I reached out and took the small metal tab of the zipper. My knuckles brushed against the skin of her back. Her skin was warm, soft, yielding. I pulled the zipper up, slowly, inch by agonizing inch. As I did, I watched my own hands in the mirror. They looked like strangers' hands. They looked like hands that wanted to stop zipping and start exploring. I wanted to press my palms flat against her shoulder blades. I wanted to rest my chin on her shoulder and look at our reflection. Two women in the autumn of their lives, one vibrant and dark, the other pale and terrified. "There," I said, my voice tight. She turned around. She was radiant. She had put on red lipstick. It was a shock of color against her skin. "How do I look?" she asked. I swallowed the words like the only living thing in the world. "You look lovely, Margaret." She smiled, and for a second, she looked at me with that same intensity she had in the kitchen. But then she clapped her hands. "Right, let's go find this architect." The assembly rooms were exactly as I remembered. High ceilings, crystal chandeliers that dripped light like frozen rain, and a sea of gray heads bobbing in conversation. The air smelled of stale perfume and warm white wine. We hadn't been there 5 minutes when he materialized. Jeffrey. He was exactly as I had feared. Tall, silver-haired, with a tan that suggested he spent his winters in Spain or Tuscany. He wore a tuxedo with an ease that suggested he owned it, didn't rent it. "Margaret," he boomed, approaching us with a smile that showed too many teeth. "I didn't think you'd come." "Margaret," said Margaret, extending her hand. He didn't shake it. He took it in both of his and held it. "This is my friend, Eleanor Vance. We live together. My friend, we live together." The words hung in the air, shrinking me.
They defined me as the accessory, the roommate, the sad, accompanying spinster. "Charmed, Eleanor," Jeffrey said, barely glancing at me. He turned his high-beam attention back to Margaret. "You look stunning, my dear. That velvet, it catches the light beautifully. Come, let me get you a drink. There are some people dying to meet you." He offered his arm. Margaret looked at me, hesitating for a fraction of a second. "Go," I said, waving my hand. "I'll find a spot." "I won't be long," she promised. She took his arm. I watched them walk away. I watched his hand rest on the velvet of her sleeve. I watched her throw her head back and laugh at something he said. I felt a physical pain in the center of my chest, a twisting, burning sensation. It wasn't just jealousy, it was erasure. I retreated to the edge of the room, standing near a potted palm, clutching a glass of lukewarm Chardonnay. I became part of the furniture. I watched. Margaret was the sun. She drew people in, men mostly, but women too. She was animated, using her hands to talk, touching Jeffrey's arm occasionally. She looked alive in a way she never did at home with me. At home, she was comfortable. Here, she was electric. "It's so good to see her out," whispered Rhonda. I turned. "It's so good to see her out," whispered Rhonda. She turned. "It's so good to see her out," whispered Rhonda. The town gossip. A woman who wore hats that looked like roadkill. "Yes," I said stiffly, "she is." "It's so good to see her out," Rhonda continued. Her eyes like beads. "And what does she say, Rhonda? And what does she say? I don't know her, but I know this does look like a good time." I turned. "And what were those 2 words? And what did she say?" "It's so good to see her out, but I don't think she meant that we're simply pooling resources. She's simply saying that it's good to express ourselves. A woman like me." "Yes," I said stiffly. "She looks lovely. Her eyes like beads." "I mean, she has a good heart. You can tell." She's looking at Jeffrey. But Eleanor's not so happy, I imagine. And none of it is calming, as does she mean. And what is the glass for? "I suppose it's a rather jealousy this glass is here to be used for." "I'm not just pooling resources to save on heating bills, Beatrice." I snapped at her. "Oh, I didn't mean, I just meant it's nice not to be alone. And who knows, maybe she won't be a widow much longer. Jeffrey seems quite smitten. He has a villa in Majorca, you know. A catch."
I gripped my glass so hard I thought the stem would snap. "Margaret is not looking to be caught," I said coldly. "Oh, every woman likes to be admired, dear. Don't be bitter just because—" She trailed off, looking me up and down, her meaning clear. "Just because no one is looking at you." "Excuse me," I said. "I need air." I walked out of the ballroom. I didn't go outside. It was raining again. I went to the ladies' cloakroom. It was empty. I stood in front of the mirror. I looked at myself. The navy silk dress was elegant, yes, but it was severe. My hair was pulled back in a tight chignon. My lipstick was a sensible shade of mauve. I looked like a librarian. I looked like a woman who keeps the books and pours the tea. I looked like a woman who was losing. The door opened. Margaret rushed in. Her face was flushed, her eyes bright. "Elle, there you are! I've been looking for you." She came to the sinks, checking her reflection, smoothing her hair. She was buzzing with energy. "Having fun?" I asked. My voice sounded hollow in the tiled room. "Yes! Actually, yes! Jeffrey is, well, he's a bit full of himself, but he's funny, and he knows everyone. He invited us to dinner next week. Well, he invited me, but I said I wouldn't go without you." She turned to me, smiling. She expected me to be happy for her. She expected me to be the supportive friend. I don't want to go to dinner with Jeffrey. The smile faltered. Why not? He's charming. He's pompous, Margaret, and he's looking for a nurse with a pension, not a wife. Margaret stiffened. That's unfair and rude. It's the truth, and frankly, watching you fawn over him was embarrassing. The air in the cloakroom changed. It went cold. Margaret turned fully toward me, her eyes narrowed. Embarrassing? She repeated quietly. Why? Because I was laughing? Because I was enjoying myself? Or because I wasn't sitting in the corner with a face like a stone gargoyle like you? I was not a gargoyle. I was dignified. You are miserable. You've been miserable all night, Eleanor. I thought coming here would help. I thought we could have a nice night. A nice night? I laughed, a sharp, jagged sound. Watching you flirt with some dinosaur who thinks Majorca is a personality trait? No, thank you. Margaret stepped closer. She looked angry now. Good. Anger was better than pity. What is wrong with you? Why are you so angry? Is it because I'm happy? Can you not stand the idea that I might actually want a life that involves more than gardening and drinking tea in your kitchen? My kitchen, I hissed. It's our kitchen. You live there. I live there, yes. But sometimes I feel like I'm just a guest you're tolerating until I do something wrong, like tonight. She took a breath, calming herself. Jeffrey asked if he could drive me home. The world stopped spinning. And I told him I came with you. I told him I wouldn't leave you alone. She looked at me, searching my face for something. But right now, Eleanor, I'm wondering why I bothered. You clearly would prefer to be alone. She turned to the door. Margaret, I called out. She stopped, hand on the handle. Don't go with him, I whispered. It was the most honest thing I had said all night. She didn't look back. I'm going to call a taxi. You can drive yourself home. I think we need some space. She walked out. I was left alone with my reflection, the sensible widow in the navy dress. I drove home alone. The rain lashed against the windshield, distorting the lights of the city. I gripped the steering wheel until my hands ached. When I got back to the cottage, the house was dark. Margaret hadn't come home yet. I sat in the kitchen, in the dark, still wearing my coat. I watched the clock. Midnight, 12:30, 1 a.m. At 1:15, I heard a car pull up. I heard the low rumble of an engine. I moved to the window, peering through the curtains like a spy. It was a silver Mercedes, Jeffrey's car. I saw the silhouette of two heads. I saw him lean over. I saw them kiss. It wasn't a friendly peck on the cheek. It was a kiss. I pulled back from the window as if I had been burned. I stumbled back into the darkness of the kitchen, gasping for air. The front door opened. Eleanor? Margaret called out softly. I didn't answer. I stayed in the shadows. She sighed, locked the door, and walked past the kitchen towards her bedroom. She knew I was there. She could sense me, just as I could sense her. But she didn't come in. She kept walking. I heard her bedroom door close. Click. I sat there until dawn. The image of that kiss was branded onto my retinas. It wasn't just jealousy anymore. It was clarity. I had been waiting for her to realize, waiting for her to see me, waiting for the timing to be right. I thought we had all the time in the world. But I was wrong. The world was still turning. Men like Jeffrey were still circling. And Margaret? Margaret was hungry for life. If I didn't feed her, she would find sustenance elsewhere. I stood up. My legs were stiff. My dress was wrinkled. I walked to the sink and poured myself a glass of water. My hand was steady now. The cold fury had settled into a cold resolve. Mrs. Halloway was right. Margaret was a catch. But Mrs. Halloway was wrong about one thing. She wasn't going to be caught by Jeffrey. Not if I had anything to say about it. I went upstairs. I walked past her door. I didn't stop. I went to my room, took off the navy dress, and threw it in the bin. I'm done being the friend. I'm done being the companion. Tomorrow, Sunday lunch. Jeffrey is coming to pick her up for a drive. He thinks he's winning. He thinks I'm just part of the furniture. He has no idea what happens when the furniture decides to fight back. I didn't sleep. Sleep is for the innocent, and after what I witnessed through the window, the silver Mercedes, the silhouette of two heads merging into one, I was no longer innocent. I was plotting. Sunday morning dawned with a deceptive brightness. The rain had cleared, leaving the sky a hard, polished blue. I was up before the birds. I went to the kitchen, but not to make the usual toast and tea. I needed weapons, and my weapons have always been domestic. I baked. I made brioche. I made a compote of raspberries and star anise. I squeezed fresh blood oranges into a crystal pitcher. The kitchen filled with the scent of yeast and butter, a warm, golden smell that screams home. It was a scent designed to trigger comfort, to wrap around Margaret's senses and remind her of what she had here, inside these stone walls versus what was waiting for her out in the cold with a man she hardly knew. At 9 a.m., I heard her door open. She walked into the kitchen wearing her silk robe, the belt tied tight. She looked tired. There were shadows under her eyes, and she moved with a slight hesitation, anticipating the ice age she thought I had inaugurated the night before. "Good morning," she said, cautious. I turned from the stove, a spatula in hand. I didn't scowl. I didn't look at her with the wounded eyes of a rejected spinster. I smiled. It was a terrifyingly calm smile. "Good morning," I said. "Coffee is ready, the French press. Just how you like it, with a pinch of cinnamon." She blinked. She looked at the table, set with the good linen, the fresh flowers, not lilies this time, but daffodils from the garden, and the steaming brioche. "Eleanor," she said, confused. "I thought, after last night—" "Last night was a misunderstanding. I was tired, and the gala was overwhelming. I realized I was projecting my own insecurities onto you. I apologize." I poured her coffee. I placed the cup in her hand. Our fingers touched. I held on for a fraction of a second longer than necessary. "You deserve to be happy, Margaret. If Jeffrey makes you happy, who am I to stand in the way?" She searched my face, looking for the trap, but I am a master of the mask. I was the perfect wife for 40 years. I can be the supportive friend for one morning. "Thank you, Elle," she breathed, relieved. She took a sip of coffee. That means a lot. He's coming at noon for a drive to the Cotswolds." "Lovely," I said, turning back to the brioche. "Then you must eat. You can't go on a date on an empty stomach." The doorbell rang at 11:55 a.m., punctual. I hate punctual men. It suggests they have nothing better to do than watch the clock. Margaret was upstairs finishing her hair. I opened the door. Jeffrey stood there. He was wearing a tweed jacket with leather patches on the elbows, a costume of the country gentleman that looked ridiculous on a man who clearly spent his time in city wine bars. He held a bouquet of flowers. Carnations. Cheap, supermarket carnations. "Eleanor," he said, surprised to see me. "I thought you might be indisposed." "Why would I be indisposed?" I opened the door wide. "Come in, Jeffrey. Margaret will be down shortly." He stepped into the hallway. He took up space, sucking the air out of the room. He looked around with a critical eye, noting the books, the paintings. "Quaint place," he said. "A bit dark, isn't it? Damp." "It's a historic cottage, Jeffrey. We prefer atmospheric." I led him to the sitting room. "You're widow as well," Margaret tells me. "Hard thing, being left behind." "I don't feel left behind. I feel unburdened." He chuckled, missing the point entirely. "Yes, well, freedom has its perks, but a woman needs looking after. That's what I told Margaret. She's too vibrant to wither away in a place like this." "Wither? Away?" "Margaret blooms here," I said sharply. "She has a studio facing the garden. The light is perfect for her watercolors." "Did she tell you she paints?" "Paints? No. She mentioned she likes art. I didn't know she dabbled." "She doesn't dabble. She is an artist. She has a gallery show next month in Bristol." "Is that so?" He adjusted his cuffs. "Well, good for her. Hobbies are important." I smiled. "Coffee?" "No, thank you. We'll be stopping for lunch." Just then, Margaret descended the stairs. She was wearing a cream wool coat and a blue scarf that matched her eyes. She looked beautiful. She looked nervous. "Jeffrey," she said, brightening. "My dear." He stepped forward and kissed her cheek. I watched his lips touch her skin. I felt a phantom burn on my own cheek. "Ready for the open road?" "Yes," she said. Then she looked at me. Are you sure you don't want to go on a romantic drive with you two?" I laughed. "I think not. I have plans. A book and a bottle of wine."
"Right," Jeffrey said, checking his watch. "Let's be off. I made a reservation at the Swan." "Oh," Margaret paused. "The Swan? That's a steakhouse, isn't it?" "Best prime rib in the county," Jeffrey beamed. I stepped in. Just a half step. "Margaret doesn't eat red meat on Sundays," I said softly. "It gives her indigestion. Remember the lamb last Easter, Margaret?" Margaret flushed. It was a lie. She ate whatever she wanted, but it was a specific, intimate lie that established a history. "Oh," Margaret said, looking at Jeffrey. I suppose I could have the fish." "Nonsense," Jeffrey waved a hand. "You'll have the steak. You need iron. You looked pale last night." He put a hand on the small of her back, my territory, and guided her toward the door. "Don't wait up, Eleanor," he threw over his shoulder. I watched them go. I watched him open the car door for her, a gesture that looked chivalrous but felt controlling. I watched the silver Mercedes pull away. I closed the door. I didn't cry. I didn't collapse. I went to the kitchen. I cleaned up the breakfast. I washed the cups. And then I went to Margaret's studio. It was forbidden ground usually. We respected each other's privacy, but we were at war. I walked in. The smell of turpentine and lavender. Her easels were set up. They were sketches of the garden, of the cat, of the hills. And in the corner, on a small easel, was a sketch I hadn't seen. It was charcoal. Quick lines. It was a woman. It was me. It was a sketch of me, reading in the armchair. My head was bent, my neck exposed. She had captured the curve of my spine, the way my hand held the page. It wasn't a flattering portrait. I looked old, tired, but it was tender. It was seen with eyes that lingered. I touched the paper. Charcoal dust came off on my finger. "You don't dabble," I whispered.
I left the studio. I had work to do. They were supposed to be gone until evening. They were back by 3 p.m. I was in the garden, deadheading the roses, when I heard the car. I checked my watch. 3 hours? That wasn't a date. That was a failure. I didn't run to the front. I stayed in the garden. I waited. 10 minutes later, the back door opened. Margaret came out. She was still wearing her coat, but the scarf was loose. She looked irritated. "You're back early," I said, snipping a dead bloom. Snip. Jeffrey had an allergic reaction to the cat dander on my coat. Apparently, he's highly allergic. He spent the entire drive sneezing and complaining that I should have lint-rolled myself better. I suppressed a smile. I had brushed the cat vigorously before hugging Margaret goodbye this morning. What a shame. And the lunch? We didn't get to lunch. He wanted to go to a pharmacy. Then he decided he felt too groggy to drive the winding roads, so he brought me back. She sat on the stone bench. She looked deflated. He's very particular. He lectured me about the car heater settings for 20 minutes. I put down the shears. I walked over to her. Some men need to control the temperature because they can't control anything else. I sat next to her, close. I'm sorry your date was ruined. It wasn't a date, she sighed. It was an interview. I felt like I was applying for the position of third wife. She looked at me. The sunlight filtered through the apple tree, dappling her face. You were right, she admitted quietly, about him being pompous. I'm usually right. Arrogant woman. She nudged my shoulder with hers, a point of contact. Hungry? I asked. Starving. I missed the prime rib. I made soup. Leek and potato. And there's fresh bread. You made soup? When? While you were gone. I thought you might come back cold. It's windy in the Cotswolds. She looked at me then. Really looked at me. The disappointment of the afternoon melted away, replaced by something softer. Gratitude, or something else. You take such good care of me, Elle. Someone has to. I stood up. Come inside. I'll pour you a glass of wine. We can light the fire. She followed me inside. The kitchen was warm. The soup was simmering. I poured 2 glasses of white wine. We stood by the island, drinking in silence. She tried to kiss me again, Margaret said suddenly. My hand tightened on the glass. Did he? In the car. Before I got out. And nothing. I turned my cheek. He kissed my ear. It was wet and unpleasant. She took a large gulp of wine. I kept thinking, she started, then stopped. Thinking what? I kept thinking about what you said, about missing the main event. She set the glass down. She turned to me. Her eyes were searching mine, desperate for an answer I had been too afraid to give. Eleanor, why are you alone? Truly. I'm not alone. I'm with you. You know what I mean. Why haven't you found anyone after Richard? I looked at the charcoal smudge on my fingertip, which I hadn't washed off. Because I realized, I said, taking a step closer to her, that I was looking in the wrong direction. The air in the kitchen grew heavy. Static electricity, the space between us, usually a safe zone of friendship, was now charged with potential energy. What are we doing? She whispered. I don't know. I lied. I knew exactly what I was doing. I was burning the ships. I was crossing the Rubicon. But I know I don't want you to go for a drive with him ever again. She stared at me, her chest rising and falling rapidly. Then I won't. The phone rang. The shrill sound cut through the moment like a knife. We both jumped back, startled. It was the landline. It hung on the wall, screaming for attention. It's probably him, Margaret said, her voice shaking, checking if I'm okay. Don't answer it. She looked at the phone, then at me. She walked over to the phone, she lifted the receiver, and she placed it on the counter, off the hook. She turned back to me. I'm hungry, she said. Feed me, Eleanor. I let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Sit, I ordered gently. I'll serve the soup. We ate in the kitchen, with the phone off the hook, and the world shut out. We didn't touch again. We didn't speak of what had just happened, but the air had shifted. The barrier was thinner. I watched her eat the soup I made. I watched her relax. Jeffrey was a skirmish. I had won the battle. But the war for her heart and the war against my own fear, that was just beginning.
The weather in Bath is usually a passive-aggressive drizzle, but that Tuesday, the sky decided to declare war. It started in the afternoon with a wind that rattled the sash windows in their frames, a low, moaning sound that made the cottage feel like a ship at sea. By evening, the rain wasn't falling. It was being thrown against the glass in violent sheets. We were in the sitting room. The television was on, the volume turned up to drown out the gale, but neither of us was watching the news. I was pretending to read Middlemarch for the 10th time. Margaret was sketching, her charcoal scratching aggressively against the paper. The tension from Sunday, the almost kiss in the kitchen, hadn't dissipated. It had simply changed shape. It was no longer a frantic electric thing. It was a heavy, suffocating blanket. We were polite. We were careful. We were terrified. At 8:15 p.m., the lights flickered. "Oh no," Margaret murmured, looking up. She hates the dark. It's a childish fear she never outgrew, a remnant of a lonely childhood she rarely speaks of. "It's just the wind," I said, my voice steady. "I am the rock. That is my role." At 8:17 p.m., with a crack of thunder that shook the floorboards, the world went black. The television died. The lamps vanished. The refrigerator in the kitchen gave a final shudder and silenced. The sudden quiet, beneath the roar of the wind, was absolute. "Eleanor," Margaret's voice was high, laced with panic. "Stay where you are. I know where the torch is. I navigated the darkness by memory. My life has been a series of memorized paths, after all. I found the heavy metal torch in the utility drawer. I clicked it on. The beam cut through the gloom, illuminating dust motes dancing in the cold air. I swung the light around. Margaret was sitting on the sofa, her knees pulled up to her chest, clutching a cushion. She looked small. "The heating," she whispered. "It's gone off. The boiler is electric. It will get cold soon. We need the fire." I went into survival mode. It was easier to be the quartermaster than the lover. I gathered logs. I crumpled old newspapers. I struck a match. The fire in the grate caught quickly, the dry wood snapping and spitting. A warm orange glow began to spread, pushing back the shadows, but creating new ones dancing on the walls. "Better?" I asked, dusting ash from my hands. Margaret nodded, staring into the flames. "It feels like the end of the world."
It's just a power cut, Margaret. It happens every winter. I went to the sideboard. I bypassed the sherry. Tonight required something with teeth. I found the bottle of single malt whiskey Richard had been saving for a special occasion that never came. I poured 2 generous measures into crystal tumblers. No ice. I walked over to the sofa and handed her a glass. "Drink," I said. "It will warm you." She took it with trembling hands. She took a sip and coughed, her face screwing up. "It tastes like smoke and medicine." "It tastes like courage," I said. I sat down. Not in my armchair, but on the other end of the sofa. We sat in silence for a long time, watching the fire. The wind howled down the chimney, sending puffs of smoke into the room. The temperature was dropping. I could see my breath in the air away from the hearth. "I should get a blanket," I said. "No," Margaret said quickly. "Don't leave the room, please." She shimmied closer to me. "Just share the throw." She pulled the cashmere throw from the back of the sofa and draped it over both of us. We were a tent, a cocoon. Her leg pressed against mine from hip to knee. The contact burned through the layers of wool and denim. She took another drink of whiskey, a larger one this time. "Do you think about them?" she asked suddenly. "Richard? David?" "I do, sometimes, in the practical sense. When a pipe bursts, when I have to do the taxes." "I don't mean that. I mean, do you miss the body in the bed?" I swirled the amber liquid in my glass. The firelight caught the crystal, fracturing into tiny rainbows. "I miss the wheat," I admitted. "The sound of breathing. It's hard to sleep in a vacuum." "I miss being touched," Margaret said. Her voice was raw. "David wasn't a poet, Eleanor. He was clumsy, but he touched me. A hand on the shoulder, a hug in the kitchen. I feel like my skin is starving. Do you know what that feels like?" I gripped my glass. "Do I know? I have built a cathedral to that feeling." "Yes, I know," I whispered. She turned her head. In the firelight, her face was softened, the lines of age smoothed out by the golden glow. She looked ethereal. "Jeffrey touched me." I stiffened. "I know, you told me." "He touched me and I felt nothing. It was like being touched by a piece of furniture. It was just physics, 2 objects colliding." She paused. "Why did you sabotage it, Eleanor?" I looked at her. There was no point in lying in the dark. The darkness demands honesty. "Because he didn't deserve you." "That's not the only reason." "No, it isn't." "Tell me." "I can't." "Tell me, Elle, please. The lights are out. The world has stopped. If we can't tell the truth now, when will we?" I finished my whiskey in one swallow. The burn traveled down my throat, settling in my stomach like a hot stone. "I sabotaged it because I couldn't bear it," I said, my voice low and rough. "I couldn't bear to watch you give yourself to a man who would never see the color of your soul. I couldn't bear the thought of you leaving this house. I couldn't bear the silence that would follow." Margaret shifted. She turned her body so she was facing me fully, her legs tucked under her. The blanket slipped, revealing her shoulder. "Why does it matter so much to you?" she whispered. "Because," I said, and the word cracked. "Because I have spent 64 years coloring inside the lines, Margaret. I did everything right. I was the good daughter, the good wife, the good mother. And I was empty. Until you walked into this kitchen 3 months ago." I looked at her then. I let the mask fall. I let her see the hunger, the desperation, the love that had been clawing at my throat. "I didn't want you to go with Jeffrey because I wanted you to stay here, with me." Margaret stared at me. Her eyes were dark pools. She didn't look shocked. She looked relieved. I didn't want to go with him either, she said softly. She reached out. Her hand hovered in the air between us, trembling slightly. Then she touched my face. Her fingers were cool, but they left a trail of fire on my cheek. She traced the line of my jaw. She brushed her thumb over my lip. I stopped breathing. Eleanor, you aren't frigid. Richard was an idiot. I let out a shaky laugh that sounded like a sob. He was. You're not frigid, she repeated, moving closer. You're just waiting. I'm done waiting, I said. I caught her hand in mine. I kissed her palm. It tasted of salt and skin. I heard her intake of breath, a sharp gasp that fueled me. I leaned forward. The distance between us was an ocean I had been afraid to cross for a lifetime. I crossed it in a second. I kissed her. It wasn't like the movies. It wasn't graceful. Our noses bumped. Her glasses got in the way. But then our lips met, and the world exploded. Her mouth was soft, tasting of whiskey and longing. She made a sound in her throat, a low whimper of need that unraveled me completely. I brought my hands up to cup her face, tangling my fingers in her hair, pulling her closer, deeper. She didn't pull away. She melted into me. Her arms went around my neck, pulling me down. We fell back against the cushions, the throw blanket tangled around our legs, the fire crackling beside us, the storm raging outside. For the first time in my life, I wasn't thinking. I wasn't analyzing. I wasn't Eleanor the librarian. I was just a body, a heart, a mouth. I kissed her like I was drowning and she was air. I kissed her with 40 years of silence on my tongue. We broke apart, gasping for air. Our foreheads rested against each other. "Elle," she whispered. Her voice was wrecked. "Oh God, Elle." "Don't speak," I said, kissing her eyelid, her cheek, the corner of her mouth. "Don't analyze it. Not tonight." "I'm not analyzing. I'm just finally warm." I pulled her into my arms. We lay there, on the sofa, tangled together, limbs heavy and intertwined. The storm could have torn the roof off the cottage, and I wouldn't have cared. I had the only shelter I needed. My hand found its way under the back of her sweater. Skin. Warm, living skin. I traced the bumps of her spine. She shivered, but she pressed closer. "I love you," I whispered into her hair. It was the first time I had ever said those words and meant them with my entire being. "I think I've loved you since the day you spilled red wine on my white carpet in 1995 and just laughed." Margaret chuckled, a vibration against my chest. "That carpet was hideous," she murmured. "I did you a favor." She lifted her head to look at me. Her eyes were shining with tears. "I love you too, you stubborn, terrifying, wonderful woman." She kissed me again, slow and deep. We didn't go to the bedroom. The stairs were too far, the dark hallway too cold. We stayed on the sofa, wrapped in cashmere and firelight. We touched. We explored. We learned the maps of each other's bodies, the scars, the soft places, the places that made us gasp. It was awkward at times. We were two older women navigating bodies that hadn't been touched in years, bodies that society said were past their expiration date. But there was a holiness to it, a reverence. When I finally fell asleep, curled around her back, her hand clutching mine against her chest, the storm outside had quieted to a gentle rain. I woke up to the sound of birds. The fire was dead, just a pile of cold gray ash.
The room was chilly. I opened my eyes. The morning light was streaming through the curtains I hadn't closed. Margaret was still sleeping in my arms. Her mouth was slightly open. Her hair was a mess. She looked beautiful. Then the reality hit me. The lights were back on. The digital clock on the VCR was blinking, 12 o'clock. The refrigerator in the kitchen was humming. The storm was over. The magical, suspended time of the blackout was gone. Now came the daylight. Now came the truth. I felt a sudden spike of fear. What if she regretted it? What if in the cold light of day she looked at me and saw a mistake? What if the whiskey and the dark were the only things that made this possible? Margaret stirred. She shifted, stretching. She opened her eyes. She blinked, disoriented for a moment. Then she saw me. She didn't smile immediately. She looked at me with a serious, intense expression. She looked at our tangled legs. She looked at my hand resting on her hip. My heart stopped. Here it comes, I thought. The apology, the retreat. Good morning, I whispered, bracing myself for the rejection. Margaret looked at the dead fire. Then she looked back at me. A slow, sleepy smile spread across her face. The power is back on. Yes. The heating is working. Yes. She snuggled deeper into my arms, closing her eyes again. Turn it off, she mumbled. Turn what off? The heating, the lights, the world. She kissed my neck, a sleepy, intimate peck. I liked it better in the dark with you. I let out a breath that was half laugh, half sob. I held her tighter. I can't turn off the sun, Margaret. She said, then close the curtains and come back here. We have 40 years to catch up on. I looked at the window. I looked at the woman in my arms. I got up. My joints creaked and my back was stiff from the sofa. I walked to the window. I closed the heavy velvet curtains, plunging the room back into a soft, private twilight. Then I went back to the sofa, back to her. The silent stone had cracked, and inside there was a geode of amethyst, bright and beautiful and waiting to be seen.
We called it our Indian summer. It had been 3 weeks since the storm, 3 weeks since the curtains were drawn and the world was locked out. In meteorological terms, November had settled over Bath with a damp, gray permanence. But inside the cottage, it was July. I had never known that domesticity could be a form of romance. I thought romance was candlelight and grand gestures. I didn't know it was Margaret wearing my wool socks because her feet were cold. I didn't know it was the shared silence of reading the Sunday paper in bed, my bed, with our legs tangled together under the duvet. I didn't know it was the way she kissed the back of my neck while I washed the dishes, turning a chore into a sacrament. I was 64 years old, and I was going through puberty. I was giddy. I was terrified. I caught myself smiling at nothing in the queue at the post office. But bubbles, by definition, are fragile. They exist only as long as the surface tension holds. It was a Tuesday. We were in the kitchen. Margaret was painting. She had moved her easel into the kitchen because she said the light was better. But I knew it was because she wanted to be near me while I cooked. I was making a stew. The phone rang. We both froze. It was the landline, the intruder. Let it ring, Margaret said, dabbing a brush into ochre paint. I can't. It might be important. I wiped my hands on my apron and picked up the receiver. Vance Residence? Mom, you're there, finally. I've been trying your mobile for 2 days. The voice was deep, brisk, and undeniably familiar. It was James, my son. My only child. The successful barrister who lived in Sydney and treated affection like a billable hour. James, I said, my stomach dropping. Is everything all right? Is it the children? Everyone is fine, Mom. Listen, I'm in London, surprise business trip, litigation on the Harding case. I finished early. Oh, that's nice. I'm catching the train to Bath. I'll be there in 2 hours. I thought I'd stay for a couple of nights before flying back. Save on a hotel, see the old girl, that sort of thing. 2 hours. My eyes darted to Margaret. She was watching me, her brush hovering in midair. She saw the blood drain from my face. 2 hours? I squeaked. James, the house isn't... I haven't been to the market. Don't fuss, Mom. I'll grab a takeaway. Just make sure the heating is on. England is freezing. See you at 6. Click. I stood there, holding the dead receiver, the dial tone buzzing in my ear like an insect. Eleanor? Margaret put down her brush. What's wrong? Who died? James, I whispered. He's coming. He's in London. He'll be here in 2 hours. Margaret smiled. That's wonderful. You haven't seen him in 2 years. We should thaw a chicken, or I can run to the shops. No, I said, the panic rising in my throat like bile. No, you don't understand. He's staying here for 2 nights. Okay, we have plenty of room. He's staying here, I repeated, looking around the kitchen. I saw it through James's eyes. I saw Margaret's easel set up next to the fridge. I saw her cardigan draped over my chair. I saw the 2 coffee cups on the table, their rims touching. I saw the intimacy. I saw the lesbian lifestyle that James, with his conservative politics and his country club membership, would sneer at. I have to move your things, I said, my voice sharp. Margaret, her smile faded. What? Your things. The painting, the clothes in the bathroom, the things in my bedroom. Eleanor, she said slowly. I live here. Yes, but... I scrambled to find the words that wouldn't hurt her, but there were none. James is particular. He doesn't know. He wouldn't understand. He wouldn't understand that you have a housemate? He wouldn't understand that I am sleeping with her, I snapped. The silence that followed was louder than the storm. Margaret looked at me as if I had slapped her. So, she said, her voice dangerously quiet, I am a secret. It's not that, it's too new. I'm not ready to explain it. Not to him. He'll look at me with that look, the one Richard used to have, the disappointed patriarch look. I started grabbing her paints, shoving them into a box. Please, Margaret, for just 2 days, can you move back into the guest room? She didn't move to help me. She stood there, watching me frantically erase her presence from our shared life. You want me to pretend I'm just the lodger? You are the lodger. Technically. Technically, she repeated. The word was ice. And the last 3 weeks? What were those? Technically. Margaret, please. I love you. You know I love you. But I can't. I can't do this today. Not in 2 hours. Please. For me. For me. I used the weapon she had given me. I used her love against her. She closed her eyes. She took a deep breath. When she opened them, the warmth was gone. The Indian summer was over. Fine, she said. I'll move my things. I wouldn't want to embarrass you. She walked past me. She didn't touch me. She went upstairs, and for the next hour, the only sounds in the house were the slamming of drawers and the heavy footsteps of a woman carrying her heart back into storage. James arrived at 6:05 p.m. He was taller than I remembered, or maybe I had just shrunk. He wore a cashmere coat and carried a leather briefcase. He smelled of expensive cologne on London smog. Mother, he said, kissing my cheek. A peck. Dry. Efficient. James, you look well. He stepped inside, dropping his bag in the hall. God, it's good to be out of the city. Traffic was murder.
He walked into the sitting room. I had staged it perfectly. The fire was lit, the whiskey was out, my book was on the side table. Margaret's sketchbook was hidden under the sofa cushions. "Where's the friend?" James asked, pouring himself a drink without asking. "Margaret, isn't it? The one who moved in?" "Yes, Margaret. She's upstairs, freshening up." "Funny arrangement," he commented, taking a sip. "Two widows in one house, like a sitcom. The Golden Girls." He chuckled at his own joke. "It's practical," I said stiffly. "We share expenses." "Oh, I'm sure. Dad left you well enough off, though. You shouldn't need a boarder to pay the heating bill." "It's not just money, James. It's company." "I suppose. As long as she doesn't get in the way. I need to do some work while I'm here. I hope she's not the chatty type." "She is very discreet," I said. My nails were digging into my palms. Just then, Margaret came down. She was wearing a high-necked blouse and gray trousers. She had pulled her hair back into a severe bun. She had removed her lipstick. She looked like a governess. She looked like a stranger. "Hello," she said. Her voice was flat. "Margaret," James said, not getting up. "Nice to meet you. I'm James." "I know. Eleanor talks about you." "Does she? All good, I hope?" James turned back to me. "Mom, is there dinner? I'm starving." "Yes, roast chicken. It's in the oven." Dinner was an exercise in agony. We sat at the round table. James took Richard's old chair at the head. I sat on his right. Margaret sat on his left. The distance between us, across the linen tablecloth, felt like miles. James dominated the conversation. He talked about the case. He talked about his daughter's piano lessons. He talked about the incompetence of the British rail system. He didn't ask Margaret a single question. To him, she was part of the scenery, a piece of furniture that ate chicken. "So," James said, wiping his mouth, "I was looking at the garden. The hydrangeas are a mess, Mom. You really should get a man in to look at them." "Margaret likes them wild," I blurted out. James looked at Margaret. "Do you? Well, it's not your house, is it? No offense, but it looks unkempt. Dad would have hated it. He liked order." "Richard liked order because he was afraid of chaos," Margaret said. Her voice was calm, but her hand was gripping her fork tightly. James raised an eyebrow. "I think he liked order because he was civilized. Chaos is just laziness dressed up as art." He laughed. He thought he was being charmingly witty. "Margaret is an artist, a very good one." "Is she?" James looked at her with mild amusement. "Watercolor landscapes? Cats in baskets?" "Abstract. Charcoal. Emotions." "Right. Well, to each their own." Poured himself more wine. "Mom, I was thinking, since I'm here, we should look at your portfolio. Dad's investments. The market is volatile. I want to make sure you're secure. You don't want to end up depending on strangers." He didn't look at Margaret, but the implication was clear. He saw her as a leech, a companion who was mooching off his inheritance. "Margaret pays her way," I said. "I'm sure she does, but family assets should be managed by family." Margaret stood up. Her chair scraped loudly against the floor.
I have a headache. I'm going to bed." "No dessert?" James asked. "Mom made tart." "I've lost my appetite." She looked at me. Her eyes were burning. "Good night, Eleanor. Good night, James." She walked out. "Touchy," James muttered. "See what I mean? Chatty." I sat there, staring at the half-eaten chicken. I should have stood up. I should have told him to shut up. I should have told him that Margaret was the only reason I was still alive. But I didn't. I cut a piece of tart for my son. "She's just tired," I said. Later that night, I lay in my bed, alone. The sheets felt cold. The space beside me was empty. I heard James snoring in his old room down the hall, and further down, in the guest room, there was silence. I got up. I couldn't stand it. I put on my robe and crept into the hallway. I walked to the guest room door. I turned the handle. It was locked. I knocked softly. "Margaret?" No answer. "Margaret, please, open the door." "Go away, Eleanor," came the muffled voice from inside. "I'm sorry. He's difficult." "He's not difficult. He's a bully. And you let him be. He's my son. And who am I?" The question hung in the dark hallway. You're everything," I whispered. "Then why am I locked in the guest room where you serve him tart and let him insult me?" "I was trying to keep the peace." "There is no peace, Eleanor. There is only truth and lies. Tonight, you chose the lie. And it hurts. It hurts more than being alone ever did." "I'll fix it," I promised, pressing my forehead against the wood. Tomorrow I'll talk to him." "Don't talk to him for me. Talk to him for you. Tell him who you are. If you can't do that, then there is no us. There's just you and your ghost husband and your rude son, and I'm just the lodger." I heard the bed springs creak as she turned over. "Good night, Eleanor." I stood there for a long time. I went back to my room. I looked in the mirror. I saw an old woman in a nightgown, a woman who had spent 64 years being safe. And I realized that safety was the most dangerous place in the world, because in safety, you don't bleed, but you also don't breathe. Tomorrow, I would have to break the stone, or I would be buried under it.
The morning did not bring clarity. It brought a suitcase. I heard the wheels first, the ominous, rhythmic thud-thud-thud of luggage being dragged down the carpeted stairs. I was in the kitchen, staring at the kettle, waiting for it to boil, waiting for the world to make sense. James was already at the table, reading the Financial Times on his tablet, oblivious to the tectonic plates shifting beneath his feet. "Toast is a bit burnt, Mum," he murmured, not looking up. "Scrape it off, would you?" I didn't move. The thudding stopped. Margaret appeared in the doorway. She was wearing her coat. She had her easel folded under one arm and her suitcase handle in the other. Her eyes were red-rimmed, but dry. She looked like a soldier retreating from a lost battle, dignified, broken. "I've called a taxi," she said. Her voice was devoid of emotion. "It will be here in 10 minutes. James looked up, a piece of burnt toast halfway to his mouth. "Oh, leaving so soon?" He sounded relieved. "Well, safe travels. Shame we didn't get to chat more." He went back to his tablet. He dismissed her. He erased her. Something inside me snapped. It wasn't a loud snap, like a branch breaking. It was a deep, resonant crack like a foundation giving way. The Eleanor who scraped the toast, the Eleanor who smoothed the tablecloths, the Eleanor who whispered in the dark but stayed silent in the light, she died in that moment. I walked over to the table. I took the tablet out of James's hands and placed it face down on the wood. "Mom?" He looked annoyed. "I was reading that." "Margaret is not leaving," I said. James blinked. Margaret froze by the door. "What? She just said she called a taxi. Let her go, Mom. Honestly, it'll be better. We have family business to discuss. The portfolio." "To hell with the portfolio," I said. My voice was low, trembling not with fear, but with the sheer force of the adrenaline flooding my veins. James laughed, an incredulous bark. "Excuse me?" I said, "To hell with it. And to hell with the toast. And to hell with you sitting in that chair like you own this house, James. You don't own it. I do." I turned to Margaret. She was watching me, wary, her hand tightening on the suitcase handle. "Put the bag down, Margaret." "Eleanor, don't. Don't make a scene. Not now." "A scene is exactly what we need," I declared. I turned back to my son. "You asked yesterday why I have a boarder. You implied she was a leech. You treated her like a ghost." "I treated her like a guest," James protested, standing up. "What has gotten into you? You're acting hysterical." "I am not hysterical. I am in love." The words hung in the kitchen air, suspended among the smell of burnt bread and old coffee. James stared at me, his mouth opened and closed like a fish. "You're... what?" "I am in love with her." I pointed at Margaret. "She is not my lodger. She is not my companion. She is the woman I sleep with. She is the woman I wake up with. And she is the only person who has ever made me feel like I wasn't slowly suffocating in this house." James looked from me to Margaret, his face contorting into a mask of revulsion and shock. "Mom, that's disgusting. You're 64. You're a grandmother." "Dad is dead," I shouted. It felt good. It felt like exhaling after holding my breath for 40 years. "Richard is dead, James, and he was a bore. He was a cold, controlling bore who made me feel small every single day of our marriage. I loved him because I was told to. I love Margaret because I choose to." "This is senility," James muttered, backing away. "You're having a breakdown. I'm calling the doctor." "You will not call anyone. You will pack your bag." "What?" "You heard me. You are leaving. Now." "You're kicking me out for her? For this dyke?" The slap was unplanned. It was a reflex. My hand connected with his cheek with a sharp crack. The silence that followed was absolute. James held his cheek, staring at me with wide, terrified eyes. I had never hit him. Not once. Not when he broke the vase, not when he failed math. "Get out," I whispered. "Get out of my house. Take your prejudice and your portfolio and get out. If you ever want to come back, you will knock on that door and you will ask for permission to enter our home, mine and Margaret's." James didn't argue. He saw something in my eyes, perhaps the ghost of the woman I could have been if I hadn't been tamed so young. He grabbed his coat, he grabbed his bag, he stormed past Margaret, avoiding touching her as if she were contagious, and slammed the front door. The car engine roared, gravel crunched, and then silence. I stood in the middle of the kitchen, my hand stinging, my chest heaving. I turned to the door. Margaret was gone. The suitcase was gone. Panic, cold and sharp, pierced my victory. Had she left while I was screaming? Had I terrified her too? I ran to the front door. I threw it open. The taxi was there, idling at the curb. The driver was loading her suitcase into the boot. Margaret was standing by the open passenger door, her hand on the roof.
"Margaret!" I screamed. I didn't care about the neighbors. I didn't care about the rain that had started to drizzle. I ran down the path in my slippers. She turned. Her face was unreadable. "You told him," she said. "I told him." I stopped a few feet from her, panting. "I told him everything." "You hit him." "He called you a name. I couldn't let him stand there and erase you. Not again. Not me." "He's your son, Eleanor. You might lose him." "I lost myself 30 years ago to keep him happy," I said, the rain mixing with the tears on my face. "I'm not doing it anymore. I choose you. I choose the charcoal sketches. I choose the messy garden. I choose the noise." I stepped closer. I reached out my hand. "Please don't get in the car. Come back inside. The toast is burnt, but I can make pancakes." Margaret looked at the taxi driver, who was watching us with mild interest. She looked at her suitcase in the trunk. Then she looked at me. And for the first time, she smiled. A smile that reached her eyes, her soul, her history. "I prefer waffles," she said. She turned to the driver. "Get the bag out," she ordered. "I'm staying." The driver grumbled, but he complied. Margaret walked over to me. We stood on the pavement, two old women in the rain, watched by the twitching curtains of the entire neighborhood. "You were brave," she whispered, taking my hand. "I was terrified," I admitted. "That's what bravery is." She pulled me in and kissed me. Right there, in front of Mrs. Halloway's house, in front of the postman, in front of God and Bath and everyone. It wasn't a polite kiss, it was a claim. The garden is a riot of color. The hydrangeas are overgrown, spilling onto the path in great waves of blue and pink. The neighbors have stopped whispering, mostly because we gave them no choice. We simply existed loudly and happily until their shock wore off and was replaced by the begrudging acceptance that comes with familiarity. It is Sunday. I am in the kitchen. The smell of roasting lamb fills the air. Margaret decided she likes lamb after all, as long as I make the mint sauce from scratch. "Elle, come here a moment." I wipe my hands and walk to the studio. The door is open. The room is filled with light. Canvases are everywhere. Landscapes, abstracts, portraits. Margaret is standing before a large easel, a smudge of blue paint on her nose. She says it's finished. I walk around to look. It is a painting of us. But it's not a realistic portrait. It's impressionistic. It shows two figures sitting on a sofa, wrapped in a blanket, surrounded by a darkness that is being pushed back by the warm golden glow of a fire. The figures are indistinct, but their posture, the way they lean into each other, the way their heads touch, is unmistakable. It is titled, in small script at the bottom, "The Storm." "It's beautiful," I say, feeling that familiar lump in my throat. "It's us," she says. The doorbell rings. We both look at each other. "Are you ready?" Margaret asks. "I am." We walk to the door together. I open it. James stands there. He looks older, tired. He remembers I like lilies, but he has forgotten why. Next to him is his daughter, my granddaughter, Sophie. She is 10 now. "Hi, Grandma," Sophie says, waving. James looks at me. Then he looks at Margaret, who is standing right beside me, her hand resting casually, possessively on my waist. He swallows hard. It has taken a year of silence, a year of returned letters, and a year of me refusing to back down for him to get to this doorstep. "Hello, Mem," he says stiffly. Then he turns his head slightly. "Hello, Margaret." It is not an apology, not yet, but it is an acknowledgement. "Hello, James," Margaret says, her voice kind but firm. Can we come in?" James asks. Sophie wanted to see the garden. She heard it's wild. I look at my son. I see the struggle in his face, the battle between his prejudice and his need for a mother.
I know he will never fully understand. I know there will be awkward dinners and silent judgments. But he is knocking, he is asking, and I am no longer the silent stone. I am the door. Come in, I say, stepping back to let them pass, but keeping my hand firmly interlaced with Margaret's. The lamb is just about ready, and Margaret has made a tart. They step inside. The door closes against the damp English air. Inside, the house is warm. Inside, there is laughter. Inside, finally, there is truth.